Good morning. How do we write great introductions? You see, introductions will determine the success or failure of your research project. Many times, a research panel will just look at the quality of your introduction and decide whether to approve or to disapprove your thesis proposals. So, what makes a good introduction? First, I would say that a good introduction is always attractive. It should always catch the attention of the readers. In research, you will make a good impression in your introduction when you are able to present a new and novel topic to the research panel. So, what would make them be interested in what you are going to propose? First, they would probably be more interested if you present an emergency situation. The topic that you're going to write about should show an emergency. And I'd like to think of the emergency as an ambulance. An ambulance is noisy, an ambulance is colorful, it has many lights, and everybody who sees an thinks that there is an immediate problem to be addressed. So, how do you make an ambulance like introduction? First, you have to argue that if nothing is done, worst will happen. So, if nothing is done about what you are trying to address in the research, then worst thing will probably happen. Now, I'd like to think of good introductions as consisting of about more or less 6 paragraphs. If you add more paragraphs in your introduction, you will soon realize that the research panel, will become bored of your introduction because they don't want to read very long justifications to your research. Usually, the discussion should be expounded in chapter 2, which is your literature review, and not on chapter 1. So, there are 6 things to consider in an introduction. First, you have to give an overview of your problem. The overview includes trends and developments. The trends and developments of your research interests. So, what are the writers saying about your problem? What are the experts saying, pro and con, about the problem? And why is that particular problem now the major topic of the different interest groups? Second, you have to present your problem in the second paragraph. The problem should include the variables or the factors that would explain why it has become a problem. Sometimes it's necessary that you also provide is a background of the problem and important dimensions of the problem. This will most likely interest the research panel or the panel of your research proposal because Here you're going to show that there are important variables that need to be discussed, that need to be dissected in your proposed research proposal. Now, after you present the problem, you have to show the importance of addressing this problem. Importance should have something to do with theory, as well as programs and actions. So what would be the contribution of your research problem to the theory, as well as to the programs and actions that need to be done if your problem has something to do with teaching in your particular school? What is the theoretical implication of your research, and what would be the program implication of your research? Next is, of course, when you look at it, you also have to present the literature. And by literature, I mean the leading writing on your topic. You don't have to write all the literature that you are using, because you have chapter 2 as your review of related literature. But more or less, you have to really show who are the leading writers, the leading works that would contribute to the importance of your problem. I would suggest 2 or 3 important works in this particular paragraph. Next, of course, is you have to show in your introduction your objective. What do you want to achieve? So this answers the question, so what? After doing the research, after investigating the problem, so what? What's next? So the objective is actually the outcome of your study, the final result of your study. And lastly, you have to show the time and location of the study. When are you going to conduct the study? Usually it would take 3 to 5 months to do a decent investigation of our particular research problem, and the location would be the exact location of the study, and if it is possible, you have to show the GPS coordinates of your study. So that's all for today, folks, and thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you learned something from this.